So let's look for the coordinates for point A, and the first thing I would do here is I would plug in pi over 2 for theta, and let's see what we get. It's 4 times the sine of 5 times pi over 2, and 5 pi over 2, which is kind of looking at the circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're back up there at the same angle as pi over 2. So the sine of 5 pi over 2 is the same as the sine of pi over 2, which is 1. And so r is 4. So that was a fairly straightforward one. So 4 comma pi over 2 would be the coordinates for point A. And then point B, so point B is either pi over 6 or, no, that's not pi over 6, that's pi over 3. Pi over 3 or 4 pi over 3. So one of those two angles is going to give us an r we can use for point B. I always like to start with the one that's the first one I get to, going around the circle, for starting at 0 and going counterclockwise. So if I plug in, let me get a fresh sheet of paper here. If I plug in pi over 3, I'm going to get r equals 4 times the sine of 5 pi over 3. And sine of 5 pi over 3 is negative radical 3 over 2. So therefore I get negative 2 radical 3. 2 goes into 4 twice. And so when theta equals pi over 3, the r equals negative 2 radical 3. So we've got that one too. So point B has coordinates, r is negative 2 radical 3, and the theta is pi over 3, because again, instead of going toward pi over 3, we go away from it since r is negative, and that puts us right there at point B. And then finally, for point C, we want to set the r equal to 0 and solve for theta. I like to write the sign on the left-hand side. Dividing both sides by 4, then we know that whenever we take the sine of something and we get 0, that something has to be on the x-axis, either 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and so forth. And then dividing both sides by 5, we get 0, pi over 5, 2 pi over 5. And again, we're just looking for the third time. So each time we just make it easy, make it the third time. So theta then would be 2 pi over 5. That would be the third time the graph hits the pole. So let me collect all this and write it all nice and neatly here. We had A was 4 comma pi over 2. B was negative 2 radical 3 comma pi over 3. And then C, hitting C the third time, was 0 comma 2 pi over 5.